appreciate that you answered some of this question earlier on from me, but I welcome the opportunity to tease these out because there are 5 stages. This was all set out over the years to me, and stage 1, the options assessment, began in late 2020, and then it'll move up to stage 5, handover in 2029. Where are we at in that process? And I welcome that Debbie has been taken into account, but we had a huge flood in 2018. People in the Tuilleadh, everywhere were affected. This time, in addition, it was Oranmore and Claren Bridge. At what stage will we take a more expansive approach to it? I mean, if we wait every year for each storm, and they're becoming practically every year, certainly 18 huge, in between we had storms going back to 2009, the people in the Tuilleadh were flooded out of it. At what stage will the delays stop? And will we have a rollout? Have you got dates for me? Thanks very much.
Minister. Well, first of all, deputies, and I know that you both raised this previously with me, and I know that you both have a keen interest in it, as do the other deputies in the city. And Deputy Farrell, you're right, the devastation was catastrophic. I mean, it blew a wall out in front of Oranmore railway station. It made smithereens of it. And really, it was amazing that there wasn't loss of life. And were it not for the fact that a shop worker was pinned, I think, between a fridge and a glass door in the shop in Claren Bridge, he probably would have drowned inside in the shop. And anecdotally, from what I've heard, and again, it's on the basis of receiving information from people in the dead of night as opposed to during the day. This was almost like a tsunami, the power of this event that came in. So, I mean, and I understand that there is frustration, and there's frustration in an awful lot of places around the country, but we have to make sure that, first of all, we're going to get planning permission, but secondly, we're going to get planning permission for a scheme that's actually going to make a difference to the people of the Tuilleadh, of the area around the Spanish Arch, of the town, of all of the parts of Galway that are affected. And I think, look, as I said already, the programme for the scheme required a revision following early indications in the hydrological and hydraulic modelling. And you asked, Deputy Farrell, is there a shortage in the skills available? There absolutely is. It's not just in the public sector, it's in the private sector, and it's not only in Ireland. There's a dearth of this available skill set across Europe, and even to try and get people to come in from abroad is very difficult. So that's one competing factor. The other, I think, and Deputy Connolly alluded to it, is, you know, we've now seen a major Atlantic storm that has wreaked havoc on the city yet again. Luckily, no loss of life, an awful lot of damage done, public and private, and we want to incorporate that into the modelling. Now, that won't take forever and a day, and this is why I was anxious that when I met Galway City Council, that they would bring the public representatives, council and Oireachtas up to speed as quickly as possible around the timeframes. And look, I know that stage 1, I know what stage 1 means, and I know that there's 5 stages, and 5 stages is the handover, and that's the ultimate. Like Athlone in County Westmeath will be handed over this year. I'm reluctant to give a date beyond the dates I've already given, for good reason, and I think you accept my bona fides in that, other than to say this is a huge priority for us. We met with all of the local authorities last week, Galway, Louth, Wexford, Cork, City and County, that had the worst impacts of the storms that have happened only in the first 4 weeks of the winter. And we still haven't even gotten into the depths of the winter. And we've had 6 named storms. So look, I'm particularly worried about Galway. I'm particularly worried about Limerick, my own nearest city, Cork and Dublin. These are huge urban conurbations. They're not defended, and they need to be defended.
There's a certain frustration on my part because I've borne with the process for a very long time. And see what you've referred to, following the completion of the hydrological and the hydraulic modelling, there was significantly more defences necessary. That was way back in January 23. That we know this even before Debbie came, and we knew it before that again because there was major flooding in 18 and flooding in between. So the lack of skills was never mentioned, you'll agree, in any reply to date. So that's a new burden. But up to this, it was simply that it was progressing too slowly, and each year there was a new obstacle to overcome, in addition to the storms. The fund of the money was 9.5 million. well, what will it cost now? What's it going to cost between now and when it's ready? The original date I said was 29. Obviously it's going to be further. We're going to be paying out all of the time, and terrible damage being suffered by homeowners and business people. Surely at some stage somebody must say what needs to be done and how quickly, and a revised timescale given and revised money. And consultation with the public. There was promised 3 days, 1 day, or 2.5 years ago, and no up to date. And we really need to bring the people with us. They need to know what we're doing.
Thank you, Deputy. Minister,
And thanks, Count Corla. And the last point, Deputy, is exactly the reason that I've asked Galway City Council and the steering group and the Office of Public Works to engage in the first instance with yourselves and the public representatives to dispel the misinformation. And we heard an awful lot of that in this House this morning about what was happening and what isn't happening in another totally different arena. But you're right about bringing the public with us. And there's other public infrastructure as well from Galway City out towards Salthill that's going to be built in the not too distant future. May very well have to be incorporated into this. I was in my holidays before I got sick during the summer, and a woman in running a shop in Salthill who was selling bric-a-brac for children recognised me, and she said, "You're the flood man, aren't you?" And I was kind of off duty, and I said, "Why?" "Whatever you're doing here," she said, "whether it is the greenway, the cycleway or the flood relief scheme, will you do it once and do it right and keep the water out of my shop?" And I totally agree with you in terms of level of frustration. You know, what I would love to do is to see the works actually commenced, but I can't commence the works until I get planning permission. I can't commence the works until I have the proper hydraulic modelling. And yes, there is frustration around the delays in it. It is absolutely not a shortage of money. I have no shortage of money. The biggest shortage I have is ability to spend it. I must say that uniquely as a government minister. And just in relation to the skill set, myself and the chairman of the OPW, we met with the Minister for Higher and Further Education around this, Deputy Farrell, and we raised the issue to encourage, whether it is through Engineers Ireland or directly through the higher education organisations like the likes of ATU, University of Galway, to encourage young men and women into civil engineering disciplines, because this isn't just going to affect our ability to be able to deliver these schemes in Galway, in the Gort Lowlands, in Clarendon Bridge. By the way, the chances of winning the lotto once is 1 in a however many million. To win it twice in 3 or 4 years, which has happened in Clarendon Bridge, is off the scale. So for us, we want to encourage people into that discipline of civil engineering because it is a great career. But as well as that, we need those expertise available. Now, you know as well as I do how long it takes to train a civil engineer, minimum of 4 years in university, plus then they have to serve their time. So these are not skill sets that we're going to just magic up. However, that in itself is not going to deter us from, and I want to re-emphasise again, I know there is a revised schedule for mid-December 2023, which is effectively now, and once Galway City Council have a scheduling to meet yourselves, I have no problem in attending a meeting with Galway City Council and the Oireachtas members, because I'm acutely aware, as I am in Cork City, and we've finally made progress in Cork City, a different part of the country, but we're making progress there now, where we will finally, years later, be able to go to tender, for instance, on Morrison's Island, which is the core city centre in Galway, or in Cork, not too dissimilar to your own situation. So these are huge concerning issues to me, and if it helps, I'd gladly meet the public representatives with the City Council and OPW and the steering committee to see around what tangibly can be done around the timeframes for these.